Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Tanya English, and I have with me Dorothy West. We're going to talk about forgiveness today and have a discussion about that. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat section, or you can email both of us. My website is up there. A link to schedule with me is also there, and Dorothy has also given her email and her website there, dorothywest.net. And let me tell you a little bit about Dorothy. Dorothy West is a people-loving consciousness creator and community builder. And her career as a professional relationship and organization coach is built on a life of entrepreneurship and status quo busting. Her clients are global influencers, leaders, and their teams. And Dorothy, you're going to introduce me.
Yeah, I am. In case you don't already know Tanya, Tanya English, Doctor of Chiropractic, has been practicing healing for over 30 years, first as a massage therapist, then a chiropractor, and now energy healing with people all over the world. Her focus is on clearing away subconscious emotional patterns that are out of sync with present time. In other words, she brings your body, mind, and spirit into the present, where life is a gift.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So we're going to talk about forgiveness today, and we have some different perspectives on this. So I think it'll be really helpful for people to hear, where we're coming from and how we get to basically the same space. So it's always interesting to talk to Dorothy because she has such a different perspective than most of the people that I run into have. And it's just fascinating to me to see how we can all work together to create what we want in our lives. And so first of all, we want to talk about what is forgiveness. And then we'll talk about why it's important and where does it lead. And the people that I work with, forgiveness is something that is holding them into a pattern of emotional and physiology that can be very negative because they're withholding the forgiveness from whatever situation or person. And it doesn't matter if the person's alive or dead, but they're holding themselves in this pattern of keeping that forgiveness away. And what happens when we do that, it's like holding something pointy and sticky under your arm so people can't see it. And every time it looks like people are going to see it, you just squeeze it a little bit more and it hurts a little bit more. And so you can have this pattern of physiology of negative thinking, emotions, and body function happen for years, and then it becomes a subconscious pattern. And so when I'm working with people, we're working to break that subconscious pattern of holding that. And actually, it doesn't mean that whatever happened was okay. It just means that you're not going to be attached to it anymore, and you're not going to keep playing that physiology over and over again, because that's what leads to disease. Your body being in this negative state and just constantly trying to do that physiology. And so when we break the pattern, it's really about allowing ourselves to disengage from the emotional pattern that we've set up. And it's very simple and it's very easy to do that disengagement. And what happens as a result of that is that the body's able to work in present time instead of in the past when this thing happened, whatever it was. So we look at self-forgiveness, forgiving the other person, giving them permission to forgive you if you caused any harm anytime ever, and then being thankful for the lesson. We don't work on this in the conscious mind. We work on it in the subconscious mind. So it's not really about going over and deciding whether you're going to forgive them. It's going back and saying, what vibration is happening when you think, I forgive myself? And we clear whatever's underneath that by a very simple method that actually has you move your eyes in a certain location, change your breathing, and then also thinking of a number that's energetic, and then allowing that pattern to uncouple. So it's sort of about like disengaging. And that's the basic premise of what I do when I'm working with forgiveness with people. is getting those 4 sections, because we're looking at one thing in lots of different ways. So self-forgiveness, forgiving the others, them forgiving you, and finding out what happened here that was for me. What's the silver lining? What's the joyful thing? What's the lesson that's here that I can go on and live and have it be now not something that's awful that's happening over and over again, but something that I learned something from, about myself, about the universe, whatever it is. How's that sound? That sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
There you go. When I hear forgiveness, what I hear is taking your power back.
Mm-hmm.
So we tend to credit others with our feelings. So whether they're good or bad, we tend to give someone else credit for our feelings. And what we're doing then is giving our power to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from a myriad of places. We can talk about, conditioning and training and cultural thought, and family doctrine, all of that. But the idea is that once you pull your power back, you claim it and realign with yourself as a creator, there is nothing to forgive. There is all co-creation. And the people that I'm working with are more likely to say things like, man, I can't let go of this thing. There's got to be more to this. I can't let go of this. And help me see what I'm not seeing. So I'm less likely to be working with somebody who's mired in what's been done to them. I'm more likely to be working with somebody that's a powerful influencer. And when something gets in their way, they want it out of their way.
Right. Yeah,
So
and the people that I'm working with are like the people that don't know that that's what's in the way. They don't, they're not yet aware that they're creating this stuff so that they can learn something, and they don't know that that's what's why don't I make any money? Why don't I have a relationship that I want? They don't even know that that's a possibility, that there's something subconscious that's going on that's creating it.
Yeah, my clients more likely hire a coach because they want a coach on their team, not because there's something to fix or repair. They're actually rolling as creators already. As soon as hierarchy comes into play, you hear it in our vernacular. We say things like, the ophthalmologist didn't fit my glasses right. The cashier at Target overcharged me.
Right.
The Amazon package was guaranteed to be here in 2 days and it's not here. Like, we speak from this step down place that everything is happening to us. It's in our languaging. You can hear it everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, and things aren't happening to us.
Those little flips, like, my glasses don't fit right, I'm going back to the ophthalmologist. Or, my package didn't arrive, do I want to make the call or wait one more day? Like, you talk about the facts rather than this interpretation of you might need to protect yourself in some way. So rather than a one-off, it is a way of perceiving creatorship.
Yeah.
And I see that as a widespread component that keeps us small and keeps us safe.
Yeah, for instance, that whole idea of that things are happening for us so that we can learn, not to us, is a huge leap for many people. But once they start to look at it like that and say, well, okay, so what I generally say is, try this on for size and see how it fits. Did you so you could learn something about yourself, or did you create this because you want to punish yourself? It's usually you want to learn something. It's
you're
like
a brilliant creator. You're not making mistakes. So what's this about?
Exactly.
Like, you out of it.
Yeah. And then when things really seem to be out of your control, because control is just an illusion anyway. I mean, really, we're not really in control. We are either going with the flow, or we're going against the flow, or we're stop dead. So when we're going with the flow, then we can like absolutely find what it is that we're creating for ourselves if we're open to that. But when you shut it down and make it really narrow, like, oh, it's happening to me because I did this wrong thing, that is a deep well. You don't want to go down in that. A lot of people live there. You probably know some.
There's also the hanging in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that this going round and round about something that happened before this moment steals the present moment. And I find that also in that my current clients are actively creating in the present moment. Mm-hmm. They're on this movement. They've got momentum. And the reason they have me on board is for peripheral vision and insight, feedback on that forward movement, on what could create more momentum. Well, there is nothing about hanging out in something that's uncomfortable from the past that's going to provide any momentum.
Yeah, really not. Yeah, in fact, one of the things that I've seen when I'm doing forgiveness sessions with people is they want it to be like, oh, okay, now that's done. And sometimes it is. And I'm not ever going to say that it's not possible to do it in one session, because sometimes that happens. And you will definitely feel a difference. You definitely will feel a difference in one session. However, that said, it's really about going back and making sure that that's done over gradations, because these big things that happen in our lives have multiple lessons over time that we can actually glean out of it. So now we're harvesting whatever we want out of it, whatever we're looking for. Where was the joy that I could find in that situation? Oh, and then 20 years later, that situation might show up again and you're like, you know, now I really appreciate that situation because I learned this. So it's never like you're killing it off. It's not like won't remember it. It's not like it didn't happen. But what it is like you can get more and more insight about yourself and your relationship with creating and creation for years after it happens, if you're staying in the present moment. If you're not, then if you're still stuck in that, if you're still really angry at that person, if you still have the same emotions you had when it happened, then you know you're really holding it there. And that's just punishing yourself. Nobody else cares. And the person that you're holding a grudge against doesn't even know about it usually. And sometimes it's you're holding the grudge against. I'll give you an example. I was at a friend of mine's office, and she worked for some nuns as their communications director. And the woman came in, and one of the nuns came in, and she said, I said she was hurting, and I was there to take care of my friend. And she said, boy, I haven't been to the chiropractor in a long time. And I said, why not? And she said, well, I missed my appointment. And, I was just really embarrassed. I said, why are you holding that grudge? And she said, I don't hold a grudge against them. I said, no, you're holding it against yourself for not showing up. And she just totally relaxed and said, that's right, I am. Oh, I feel so much better already. So sometimes just noticing that you're doing that pattern of thought to yourself is very freeing. And what you're saying, Dorothy, is like you're already working with people who already kind of get that and know that there must be something going on there. So let's take care of that right now.
Yeah, there's also in every event, there's the facts, what actually happened. Mm-hmm. Then there's the interpretation, and then there's the extrapolation, right?
Yes.
So if my initial perspective is that I'm a powerful creator, I'm creating my reality from one moment, one thought, one action at a time. I'm creating my own reality. I'm creating things that I like so much, I'd be good creating them again. And I'm creating things that can easily be a one-off. I never want to do that again. Mm-hmm. So in a session I had this morning, I was able to ask somebody, if you do the next, she had already said she wasn't her best self. in that interaction. I was not my best self. I didn't have her go over the same conversation as if she'd been her best self. She has another interaction in this similar scenario coming up. I said, so how will you go into that one? Just moving right along with the momentum. We didn't need to go over the past. We went right into the next one. And the response was, well, I'll walk in the door as my best self. It won't be an option. I'll walk in the door as my best self. Mm-hmm. And then there is nothing to correct or review. It's just, that was a one-off. Here comes the next creation. Who are you going to be in that next scenario? And the reminder that you're a powerful creator. You're creating this. You can create it the way you want. There's nothing in the way of that.
That's right. And so you said interpretation, extrapolation, and resolution. Is that right?
No,
wait,
no, it's
again.
The facts. There's
Mm-hmm.
There's what actually happened. That would be, my glasses don't fit well. That's the fact. The interpretation, and then the extrapolation. So the interpretation could be, this is a crappy optometrist. Mm-hmm. Or the interpretation could be, I need to go have these fitted. Mm-hmm. Or the interpretation could be, I'm going to suffer like this for the rest of this prescription. Right. Would be fine too.
Right.
You're choosing your experience regardless. So you can choose your experience as a victim, or you can choose your experience as a collaborator, or you can choose your experience as someone who makes ultimate compromises for everyone else's comfort. Like, it's all up to you.
Ooh, I bet that's going to hit some nerves right there that you said. So the interpretation is choosing your experience, and then the extrapolation is, tell me that.
Projecting it forward. So it could be, I'm going to tell everybody I know, don't ever go to that optometrist.
Right.
Or it could be, that was my first choice as an optometrist, but I'm going to ask a few of my friends for recommendations. Or it could be, I'm going to give some real honest feedback to this person. I bet that would be valuable. So as you're extrapolating, you're choosing who you're going to be moving forward based on your current experience.
Right. Right. So a lot of people that I work with choose, I'm going to still be the victim in this situation. And every time I think about it, I'm going to remind myself that I'm a victim. And so every time they think about it, they think about how horrible it was and how they were such a victim. And let me tell you something, that's no place to live. Done it, been there, don't need to go there again. Thank you very much. That's how, I mean, like, I was just talking to a friend of mine, a colleague of mine, and I said, you know, people don't become healers because they've got it all together, right? Become a healer because you want healing, and you are interested in that which changes things and makes them whole. So what's after extrapolation again?
Recreation. That brings me to that, that third question about forgiveness is, there's this 1-2. It's like blinking your eyes. You're a creator and then you're an experiencer. Mm-hmm. And we're doing that all the time. And sometimes we have this lapse of one of those, and it starts to feel like it's experience first. Experience, create, experience, create, experience. It isn't. It's create, experience, create, experience, create, experience. If you're using your last experience for your next creation, you're one step behind. You could just step right up into creator to create what's next and not need to drag your last 60 years or more behind you. As you make your next creation, you can do it fresh and new in every moment when you're in that place of, I'm a powerful creator here for the experience. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that comes into play in coaching. That's current moment coaching. Is that this is a fresh moment. What do you want to create next?
Right.
You want to create a repeat And some things, I like to use my coffee in the morning as an example. I like my coffee in the morning. I like how I make it. Love my coffee pot. I do it the same every day. Love the experience. I want it every single day. So I am going to repeat that based on what I've learned as a choice. So it's not that you don't repeat something. It's that you're not obligated to carry forward anything that wasn't fun or valuable to you.
Right. I put that in the chat box so people can sort of look at that again. The fact, interpretation, choosing your experience, extrapolation, projecting it forward, and recreation. Are you going to be creator or experience? And I love that idea of that, because it fits into every section of what we're doing when I'm doing forgiving yourself. Okay, so how did you see this? What, all those three things, the facts, and then the other part of that, like you said, is like, you're pretty sure this is what happened. Are you 100% sure that's what happened? Can you be 100% sure that what you thought happened was exactly what happened? And usually the answer is no, because we have this way of seeing things through our filters, our veil of information that we listen through, that we see through, of all the experiences that we've had in our life that we think are, telling us how things really are, when we're really only seeing them from our point of view. This is sort of a thing for me in my life, to be able to understand that I can only see things from Tanya's eyes, because I'm in Tanya's life right now. Like, my soul is living Tanya's life. And I can't see things through Dorothy's eyes as much as I'd love to. But the reason why we have a conversation like this is so I can get kind of a hint of how she sees things. And this is so fascinating for us, is because when we get to hear something through somebody else's point of view, it can open up our eyes to what we may have never seen before. I don't know if you've ever picked asparagus, wild asparagus, or morel mushrooms, but you know how you're looking and you're looking and you're looking and you're looking, and you finally see one asparagus or one mushroom, and then all of a sudden you see all of them. I'm getting goosebumps. Because all of a sudden you tuned in to what that vibration of what that wild asparagus is supposed to look like. And now you can see it. And now you can see like a whole bunch of them. The same thing happens with morel mushrooms. People will tell me this all the time. I've only ever gotten like one or two at a time. So I know about asparagus, but mushrooms different. But morel mushrooms, people will say, they're looking. They see one, and then all of a sudden a whole bunch show up in their sight. They're sitting right there. But we become attuned to it because now we can see that. Just like Dorothy's saying here, when you become attuned to being a creator in your own life, we have free will. We're actually encouraged to use it. And your free will can tell you, you can decide what you're going to do. You can decide if you're going to do this, that, or the other thing. What's wonderful about free will is that you can decide to walk in love. A lot of people decide to walk in fear, and you see that happen corporately, people walking in fear. You see it happen federally, nationally. You could see it happen in countries, people walking in fear. And what I think both Dorothy and I, and tell me if I'm wrong here, is we'd love to see everybody walking in love and not in fear. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. Everybody claiming their autonomy, sovereignty, power, and being able to express passionately without needing to make anybody wrong or without needing to inflict pain.
Exactly.
Like all of that is, as soon as I'm a freely operating as a creator in my own power, I don't need anybody else to be wrong. I don't have to be attached to anybody's opinion about anything.
Right. That's a wonderful thing. To be unattached to what anybody thinks. As I often say, my motto is, what you think about me is none of my business. Unless it's good, then I'd really love to hear it. because my ego loves that stroke, just like we all do. But you know, you don't have to have that. And just for those of you who are wondering how this fits in with your spiritual beliefs, well, you have free will. You can believe that God is the center of your life or not. That's your choice. That's the beautiful thing. You can believe that or not. I choose to believe that. Other people may not, but I don't have to make them wrong. I don't have to judge them, because that's not for me to do. That's not my job. And God tells us that over and over again. Judge it? Oh, great. Now that's you. So if you like that, go ahead. It's much, it makes life much sweeter if you don't have to judge.
I lean towards sarcasm. I enjoy it. And I just asked someone I'm in a close relationship with, who has an opinion about everything, everything. And I asked, is that exhausting? And this other person said, what? I said, having an opinion about absolutely everything, does that get exhausting? It seems like it would be exhausting. If it's just let it, well, it's right on by. Just scroll on by. You don't have to.
It's true. There's people that I work with, and they have an opinion about everything, and they're telling me their opinion, and I'm like, I know so much about them. They know nothing about me. Nothing. Because they're not interested in what my opinion is. They're only interested in their own. And then they're like, oh, I didn't know you did this. And I'm like, well, you never asked me anything about myself. Not that that's a problem. I don't mind. Notice, I volunteer information freely about myself. My life's pretty much an open book. And, you know, if you want to know what I think about something, just ask me. But I don't need to like be spouting off how I feel about things, because mostly how I feel about things is I'd rather walk in love than walk in fear. I mean, it pretty much all boils down to that. So
yeah,
you kind of know what I think.
About the thing with making us uncomfortable, that leans into the forgiveness word, is it's most often our disappointed expectations for catching us by surprise when something happens that's not our expectation, not how we thought it was going to go. Our tendency can be to hold on to that moment, because we don't want to be mistaken, we don't want to be wrong, we don't want to be caught off guard, all of those things, and so we hold on to that moment. Just let it go. It's a moment. It's over.
There's a big shift that happens there, and that shift, especially when things change quickly, like I'm thinking about like when somebody passes away without much warning, that's a big shift. And when those big shifts happen, it's very, very enticing to stay stuck in the negative part of that. It's enticing because it's so easy to do. And what's really honorable and wonderful to do is to notice that that big shift has happened, and now see it as an opportunity for opening to take place and for more information to come in, more information about yourself, your connection with your creator, whether it's you or whether you feel like it's God, because God can be in you too. So that's you too. So all I'm saying is, like, when you have those big shifts that take place, it's okay for you to not stay on what it was that happened, but look at it as an opportunity for things to open up for you. And that's a big thing.
Yeah. Also to catch up with the new information.
Yeah.
So catch your reality up to the new information rather than holding on so tightly to that moment before new information arrived. And it can take a little bit, you know, it's okay. Give yourself a couple hours, a week, a month, whatever you decide you need. It's okay to take some time, but take the time not to be with that in the past, but take the time to be with the current information and the way it changes the shape of your reality. Another thing about that is this choice to love the new day, or strive to make them all look alike. So if you're
It's not that hard, actually. You have your coffee every day, right? Yeah, but exactly, Sue. It's like exactly opening up to what's new, and because every moment is different, and you have a starting over every moment. Like that one that just happened just now, and that one just then, and this one, oh, there it goes. Every moment, you can start over, be new. That's awesome.
Deeply committed to having no 2 days look the same. I'm deeply committed.
So if anybody wants to go hang out with Dorothy and have a different day every day. Yeah, I'm so happy to be able to do this with you, Dorothy. I think we should do it again.
Oh,
let us know if you have comments or questions or stuff you'd like us to talk about. We'll be happy to do it.
Yeah, please. Please. It's always a pleasure, Tanya. Thanks.
Likewise, I'm sure. So I put in the comment section in the group chat on Zoom links for both of us. So if you can't get to those, you can get a hold of me at Dr. Tanya English. That's Dr. Tanya English, TANYA, at gmail.com. That's my main email. And feel free to use that if you want to get a hold of me. And then Dorothy's DorothyWest.net. So you can find her there. And my website's quantumhealinginternational.com.
Okay.
And what were you going to say?
My email is coachdwest@gmail. And of course, you can find me on the Silver Tent, Silver Synergy, and Grove.
Silver Synergy and Grove and Tent and all that wonderful thing. You know what we want to do is we want to like all go over to the UK and have a big week-long seminar session and bowls and spells. Who knows what's going to happen? Someday it's going to happen. I feel like it's pretty soon too. Better be soon. Well, thank you so much, Dorothy. Thank you to all the Silver Synergists out there who encourage us. Thank you, Francesca. We're so happy to be in your tribe. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Talk to you later. Bye.